The version that we're going to do is the British Sign Language, which goes like this. Be kind, and you kind of gather up your heart and pull it across with your thumb up. And compassionate, you rub the heart to make it nice and warm to one another. Alright, so it's be kind and compassionate to one another. Be kind and compassionate to one another. And then you kiss your fingers, rub your hand and wipe it away like you're making something better. Forgive each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Then it goes, look in the Bible, in the New Testament, Ephesians 4, then you've got to be really quick on this bit, verse 32. Look in the Bible, in the New Testament, to find out what to do.
Be kind and compassionate to one another. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Look in the Bible, in the New Testament, Ephesians 4 verse 32. Look in the Bible, in the New Testament, to find out what to do. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Look in the Bible, in the New Testament, Ephesians 4 verse 32. Look in the Bible, in the New Testament, to find out what to do. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other, just as in Christ God forgave you. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Be kind and compassionate to one another. Forgive each other, just as in Christ God forgave you.
Well, we recently told you the story of Abraham and how God promised him that he would be the father of many people. This week we're going to start a 4-week story about one of his grandsons called Jacob. Jacob was the person that God was going to use to build his special new nation of people. God had promised them to Abraham, and Jacob was the start of seeing that come to fruition. However, Jacob did do a few things wrong in his life before it all got put right. And you're going to find out about that story now.
Well, my name's Jacob. I've been invited in to tell you a tiny bit about my life. Well, as she said, we were born almost fighting against each other, and right through our lives, the early part of our lives, there was always a bit of a battle. And it really came to a head the first time when my brother Esau, he was one of these people that went out in the fields. He loved being in the fields, he loved working with the animals, and he was tired, and he came running in on one occasion, and he said, I need some food, I'm really hungry, give me some food and I need it now. And I just made this lovely stew. And I said, I've just got this. And he said, give me the stew and I'll give you anything you want. So I said, well, how about your birthright? Yeah, anything. Yes, you can have my birthright. So he gave me his birthright for a pot of stew. Now that meant that instead of him inheriting everything, I could now inherit it. And that's where it stood. He was never happy when he realised what he'd done, but it was too late. Well, the next years went by, and we were well into our 30s at the point when our dad, Isaac, was getting very ill, and we knew he was going to die soon. And when he was beginning to die, he called Esau in and said, Esau, I'm going to die soon. I want you to go and get me that special stew you like making for me, and then when you come back, I'm going to bless you. And so off he went. Well, our mum Rebecca, I was always her favourite, and she thought that was not what she wanted. So she called me in quickly and said, Jacob, come in here quickly. I said, what's the matter, Mum? Your father is going to bless your brother. That means you will get nothing. You won't even get a blessing. What I want you to do, I'm going to cook some stew. I want you to get some animal skin. Something like rabbits are good because it's nice and human feeling. It's furry. It's not harsh and hairy. Get something like that. Put it on your arms, both arms. And, oh yes, put on some of your brother's clothes so you smell and feel just like your brother. And then come back in and I'll give you the stew to take to your father. So I thought, I'm not happy doing that, but Mum said do it, so do it I will. And I went in, I put rabbit skin on my arms, she gave me the stew, and I gave it to my father and said, Dad, I've come along to get the blessing, here's the stew. And he said, you don't sound quite like Esau. Are you Esau? I thought, well, I'm so far in, I've got no choice. Yes, I am. Let me feel your arms. So I put my arms out and he felt my arms. And he said, well, you feel a bit like your brother, but you don't sound too much like him. Well, your clothes, they feel like Esau's. You must be the right person. I put my hand on your head and I will bless you. And he did. He put his hand on my head and blessed me. Once he'd given me the blessing, I got up and left the room. Minutes later, Esau came rushing back in with the food that he'd prepared out in the bush. Dad, I've got that food you wanted, now I've come to get your blessing. But I've given blessing to someone else, it must be your brother Jacob. Oh no, Isaac was furious. I wasn't there when this happened, but Rebecca, our mum, she heard it all, and she came out to me a moment later and said, your dad has just told Esau what's happened, and Esau is furious. The last thing I heard him say was, you wait till I get my hands on my brother, I'm going to kill that boy. So Mum said, look, just go away as quick as you can, go as far as you can. I'll tell you where to go. I want you to go to Hebron. My brother Laban lives in Hebron. You go to Hebron and go along and see him. He'll look after you until I send a message to keep you safe. So that's what I did. I went to Hebron, looked out for his brother, who was obviously farming as well, the same as we all do, looking after sheep. And as I was going into the area, I saw some of the girl shepherds, the shepherdesses, and there was one there that was absolutely outstanding. She was the most beautiful young lady I have ever seen. I saw her and thought, oh, I would love to have a girlfriend like that. But I went on, saw Laban, and then I discovered Rachel was Laban's daughter. So I thought, I've got a chance of marrying her now. And Laban said, well, if you're going to come and work with me, I said, yes, of course I'll work with you. He said, what wages would you like? And I thought, I don't believe he's a very generous man, so if I ask for money, will I guess it? I don't know. I'll tell you what, if I work with you for 7 years, I work for you for 7 years, can I marry your daughter Rachel? Yes, of course you can, Laban said. And I thought, wow, he's very keen on that. Yeah, I'll go for 7 years to marry Rachel, it's worth it. So after 7 years, I went along and said, Laban, I've come along to ask for your daughter Rachel's hand in marriage. And Laban said, yes, of course you can marry her. We'll go and get everything set up. So the wedding ceremony was set up, everything was organised, we were ready to go. And we went in and she came in with a veil over her face as she's supposed to. And we went through the wedding ceremony. At the end of it, when I was married to Rachel, that's the time when you lift the veil and have a look underneath. I thought this was going to be the best day of my life. It was not. It was one of the worst days of my life. It wasn't Rachel under the veil. It was her plain, ordinary sister, Leah. Well, Leah was a nice girl, but I didn't want to marry Leah. I said, Laban, what have you done? You've made me marry the wrong person. That's not fair. I'm really angry about that. And Laban said, you've married Leah. You will stay married to Leah, but if you can stay married to Leah for 7 more years, then you can marry Rachel as well. Because in our days, you could have more than one wife, and if I married Leah, then he would allow me to marry Rachel later. And perhaps I'll tell you later what happened next.
Hi, Tommy.
Hi, Sasha. Hey, did you enjoy the party last week?
Oh, it was brilliant. I really enjoyed it. Did you?
I quite enjoyed it, but, well, I often think parties are a bit overrated, you know.
Yeah. Well, it depends on who you go with, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. See, none of my best friends were there, but we did get that brilliant tin of chocolates.
Oh, yes. They were really good, weren't they? Some had solid chocolate all the way through instead of cream centres.
Did they? I didn't get one of those.
Really tasty they were. And there were some white chocolates.
Yes, I had some of them. I quite like white chocolate.
Yes, so do I. Yum, yum. Almost as good as those other ones with chocolate you know, the ones with the silver wrappers on.
Yes, but, oh, they're dark chocolate. I didn't think you liked dark chocolates.
No, I don't like dark chocolates as much. Well, not usually, but those were especially nice. For dark chocolate, that is.
Oh. Yes, they were. They were lovely, but I must go and try some of those other ones with the silver wrappers on that you were talking about.
I don't think you'd really like them as much as the dark chocolate ones.
That's possible, but I'll let you know when I found them.
Wouldn't you like to come and play at my house?
That sounds a good idea, but I might just go and try some of those...
come on, Tommy. Hey, I bet I can get to my house faster than you can.
Bet you can't.
Can?
Can't.
Oh, yes, I can.
Oh, no, you can't.
Can.
Can't. Oh, she's gone. Girls can't run as quickly as boys, can they? This should be easy to catch her. Sasha? Sasha? Oh, that's how you're going to win, is it? By setting off first and not telling me that you've gone? That's cheating. Oh, well, I better go and see if I can catch her. Bye.
Oh, dear. Now what can I do? We had that special tin of chocolates to share, and I picked all my favourites before Tommy even had a look in the tin. And I promised I'd save him some of the good ones. I even said I'd look after them for him. I did. Yum yum in my tummy. Oh, well, I'd better go and keep him busy. Then perhaps he'll forget all about those chocolates altogether. Bye!
Well, in that story we see how Jacob was deceived by the devil into doing something he shouldn't have done, and he turned into a bit of a deceiver. He deceived his father, tricked him into giving him his birthright, and he deceived his brother. He tricked him into saying he could have his birthright, and then he pretended to be Esau. You know, the devil will do things like that in our lives. He constantly wants to lead us away from the promises and the blessings that God has for us, and he tries to trick us and then get us to do things that we shouldn't do, a bit like Jacob did this week. But Jacob was part of God's plan. So over the next few weeks we're going to find out how God brings him back into the place of blessing he wanted him. We'll look at it together this week because it's quite a long one. But it shows you what Jacob didn't do to start with. It says, each of you should use whatever gifts you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in its various forms. 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 10. Well, Jacob certainly didn't use it to serve others, did he? He was trying to serve his own purposes. But God wants us to use our gifts and talents to serve other people, not our own purposes. See if you can learn this by the time we come to the Zoom. We'll read it through together once more. Are you ready? Each of you should use your gifts you have received to serve others as faithful stewards of God's grace in various forms. 1 Peter chapter 4 verse 10. See if you can learn it. Bye.